I sincerely believe without purpose, we cannot go anywhere, right? Maybe you can go in circles. You are just entertaining a lot of noise, but you cannot really create an impact. There is no other way. My son asked me, Baba, are we rich or poor? You know, once he asked me this. I said,
Yeah.
we are poor among rich and we are rich among poor. If you sincerely believe in something, move heaven and earth to get it done.
Welcome to Fulfillment Project. Everyone, Nadir Ali with us today. Nadir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Andy. Thank you for having me. Quite excited about this.
I am excited. We connected a couple weeks ago. I was traveling and you were traveling. You were in Saudi Arabia. Where do we find you today, Nadir?
In fact, from that time, I traveled back to some other country, now back to Saudi Arabia again.
You are a man on the move. We had Bridget Nohara from Canada on the podcast. She was our first international guest, but this is certainly the furthest geographically. So I'm so excited we're connecting today, Nadir. I think you have a lot of wisdom. Before I get into your intro, I'm just so excited that Fulfillment Project has grown. We're over 20 episodes. We're into season 2 now. And at first, had I emailed someone like Nadir, it probably would have just gotten put aside. Over 100,000 listens, plus 20 episodes, and a man like Nadir responds to a poor boy like me. So I'm so grateful to have you on the show today,
thank you.
Nadir.
Thank you for the kind words and your generosity.
Thank you. The way I think of you is a FinTech leader. You're a thought leader with a global perspective. You have over 20,000 followers on LinkedIn. You've done over $500 million in mergers and acquisitions. You're an architect. What you help people with is hypergrowth strategies. And I'm hoping we can connect that to personal hypergrowth strategies today. Like what you do in business, how can we connect that, plug it into our lives and go there? So did I miss anything? Do you do anything that I didn't explain? Maybe tell us a little bit about your family and like your background.
And this is me in a brief, right? A father of 2 kids, living happily. And kids are 10 and 7. So, that's the best age to be with them. After 2 years, the elder one will start thinking of his own, and he said, Daddy, you don't know anything,
Yes.
and I'm ready for that.
And what I love about you is you've got kids and a family. And sometimes I listen to podcasts and I hear all these great ideas. The guy's waking up at 5 a.m. He does a cold plunge. He gets an exercise and he runs 5 miles. He does the sauna. He goes to work. He has a really beautiful looking lunch. And then he works late. And I'm like, wait a minute. I've got a wife and kids at home. So I like those people too, because that's kind of aspirational stuff. How can we fit that into my availability? But you're living within the constraints that I am, and I am the primary listener of this podcast. Everything's kind of like how do we find fulfillment? How do I find fulfillment? So I love that. I think a lot of the audience will also relate with you, and just you're doing these things within the constraints of a family, which is natural. So you said something when we were talking a couple weeks ago that I really like coming off of your CV and your background. You said careers don't start with resumes. They start with belief systems. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. See, this is something, which I learned over the period of time while after enabling 11 global markets across 3 continents, So when I say it, see, your resume is what? Your resume is your track record, what you have done. It's your past. Whereas your belief system is what you really want to do or who you are, in fact, what you believe in, So when I say like your career starts with your belief system is okay. Your resume is something which you have done. Maybe you should take pride of, but that's it. The story ends here. What's going to happen next is, in fact, what are your belief system? Because your belief systems are going to tell you, like in the pressure situation, how you're going to respond, how in fact you are going to seize the opportunity, how in fact you are going to create the impact, which may and may not be the story which you have on your resume. But going forward, you don't know that. But your belief system 100% is going to tell whether it's going to happen or not. So when I say, okay, the great careers, and I've seen it firsthand, like in Far East Asia, we were having a project, and trust me, at that time, it's like 10 years ago, the better people compared to me on resumes, right? But you see people crippling under pressure, when in fact there is a time, maybe they never, confronted those situations. Their track record was good, but this scenario is quite new, and it doesn't really resonate with them, what they believe in. So, they really, they cannot, proceed further. So I have seen those people dropping out of the equation over the period of time. And I sincerely believe in, like, this is the case. If your core values are strong, then they takes you mile, because your resume in a nutshell is just a door opener, and that's it. But, in actual, how you are going to last depends upon the values.
And why do you think your values, your belief systems shape your decisions and your resilience? I believe I just heard you say that, but do you have a story of someone, maybe even two stories, someone that didn't have a strong belief system and fell off, which is maybe the story you just told us, where you're in a project, they had the perfect resume, the perfect CV, but when they encountered a new experience that was outside of their purpose, they kind of fell apart. Do you have a story of someone who did have a purpose and plowed through something really tough?
I do. And you see, because when I moved to Saudi, I mean, I moved to Saudi 5 years back, right? Out of like my 21 years in the industry. And Saudi market is a very dynamic market. And unless you are here, you don't know how it works, because there is a, very different cultural orientation. The way, in fact, the work is very different from the places where I have been to, right? So in order to align,
Yeah. I got to come visit. I want to experience firsthand. You got to show me around.
you are more than welcome. And trust me, it's a place to be. And I really enjoyed that. For instance, when I joined the company, so the proposition which I got sold to, I was very much settled in Dubai before coming to Saudi Arabia. But the position which was given, to me in terms of value proposition was something I couldn't say no, because they were trying to create a company which is going to compete with the company for which there are 20 or 22 competitors in the industry across different domains. So like a single company is going to have a mandate of multiple business lines within it, which is going to have an established competition in the market. So, you are starting with the point where, in fact, you are under a lot of pressure to start with. Plus two, everything, because of the urgency of the situation, everything is needed yesterday. So the pressure was, really great. And when over here, the people who normally move from outside, they cannot relate until unless they understand this cultural bit. So when, they say, okay, this has to be done. So they really mean it, I mean, and that's the transformation you have seen in UAE and Saudi Arabia, that the things which really looks impossible, they have achieved it, right? And same goes when they do.
When you go on YouTube and you look at some of the most amazing engineering feats in all of the world, they're all in that part of the world. Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates. I mean, the line, if you haven't YouTubed the line, people, do it. It's amazing. And maybe it's not the full scope yet, but they're doing it. And they kind of took over the Japanese idea of making 100, 500, and 1,000 year company plans. I think the Japanese still do that. But in the Middle East, where you are, Nadir, I mean, they are doing some of the hardest things that seem inconceivable.
And on top of that,
and would you say that's because they have a strong purpose?
And on top of that, in a very short period of time. So they are doing impossible in a very short period of time. So, this is my personal story. So I was given a task because I came from a different mindset, So I was working on a merger and acquisition deal, and my MD told me he needs this information in next 3 days. Right. So I searched for the company. I went on this crunch base and, the pitch decks, and where in fact to find information about the companies, how much they have, secured in terms of money, so that we can create a proposition for them. And for that company, surprisingly, there was nothing. So like, the information was not public, I mean to say. So it was the information, but it was not public. I couldn't find anything. So the steerco happened, and he said, end of the steerco, and he said, I gave you the task, what happened with that? And I was very relaxed. I said, I tried to search it out and I couldn't find it. He said, and he didn't let me complete the sentence. He said, you were supposed to do it today.
Okay. Okay. Pressure cooker.
Today. I said, I'm not, giving you excuses, but I'm saying I need more time. He said, okay, 2 more days and I need the information. Right. And then I said, okay, because it was my reputation at stake. I mean, you are rightly, meeting with the MD. So in fact, I find out the number of the CEO and I reached out to the guy and I said, I'm talking from this and this company.
Yeah, Nadir.
And we have an
Bam.
offer for you. Are you
Get 'em.
interested? He said, yes. I mean, because I was representing the biggest Islamic bank, globally. So the name is, just cash in the market. And immediately he sent me the pitch deck. And then I got all the information. I compiled it. We created our story. I said, okay, this is the story. But you see, if in any other country, I have been into any executive positions previously, so it was just okay. Like I tried, I couldn't find it. But over here, it's not when they say you are supposed to do, you are really supposed to do. And there are no second chances. But this is kind of a thing, where in this market you have to go through.
Well, and I think my whole focus today is hypergrowth. So I'm going to connect that for my audience. That doesn't have to be a Middle East thing. And am I right calling Saudi Arabia Middle East? I don't want to
You're
miss.
right. You're right.
It doesn't have to be a thing for over there. It can be a thing for in life. Let me bring you closer to home. My buddy, and it's kind of like this, but in a local example. My buddy Danny, he's cold calling accounts. He sells furniture. And the buyer of the top account in the state that he has to be into to make his company relevant, the buyer is in a warehouse that's gated with, what do you call it? The sharp stuff on top of the fence, barbed wire.
Okay.
And he pulls up, he's circling the building. He can't get in. And he knows he's got to call his boss at the end of the week and tell him what he's done that week. And this account, he wants to nail it. He finds some dock workers that have the gate open. They're taking a cigarette break. He walks up, has a cigarette with them, gets in the back door, hops up through where the trucks back into to unload the furniture, walks through the warehouse, peeking around, peekaboo, finds the buyer, sits down with him. The buyer couldn't believe he got in. He took the meeting. My buddy Danny was worried he was going to get kicked out, but the buyer couldn't believe that the salesman actually got through this gated system, took the meeting. A couple weeks later, the sale was closed. They're delivering super high stakes for him in his life. So you don't have to work for the biggest Islamic bank in the Middle East to have situations like this. You can sell furniture in the Midwest and still hyper growth whatever you're doing. Like, don't take no for an answer. And if you don't have that urgency placed upon you, place it upon yourself. If someone isn't crunching you for it, you crunch yourself. Get it? It's amazing what you can do, creating something out of nothing. I love that, Nadir. Does that story have an ending, or is it still in process?
It was like 2 years ago. In fact, the story is 2 years old story, And in fact, we reached out to the guy, we put an offer. But, when you do this merger and acquisition, there are so many variables on the equation. So sometimes buyer doesn't like the offer. Sometimes seller wants only to get on his conditions, So, yeah.
Yeah.
But in fact, we completed that task.
You are the man. So some people listening, Nadir, they're thinking, well, I have a mortgage. I've got monthly bills. I went to school for business. I applied to 100 jobs. I took the job that took me. And so there's not much of a connection there. Maybe they don't see a lot of relevance or purpose in what they're currently doing. How do you help people identify their belief systems? How do you create purpose in a situation you just happen to find yourself in?
Always see, it's a very important perspective, Andy, and thank you for bringing this up, I sincerely believe without purpose, we cannot go anywhere, right? Maybe you can go in circles. You are just entertaining a lot of noise, but you cannot really create an impact. And wherever I have worked with the teams, so we always, try to work for a cause. I sincerely believe, and I've seen it firsthand, even at the lowest level, if your teammate understands that, okay, he is part of something big and he is inclusive in that, then, the results are very different versus, the persons are really doing work for you, but they don't know in what they are contributing. So, the people burned out quickly, they got exhausted, even if they got exhausted, they are not able to, put up the results which you want. The purpose is the thing, which in
Yeah.
fact keep them going with a passion. So it has to be this way, whether in personal life or in a business. There is no other way.
And I mean, how do you get it? How do you find, I believe that you need it. How do you get
In
it?
fact, it varies from situation to situation, right? Say, again, one of the example is we were trying to take a company international. At the same time, we were building it. Now, a very logical question is, why you want to do that? And I haven't seen, again, before Saudi Arabia, I haven't seen this anywhere else. Because you try to, you try to build something first, and then you try to export that. You try to validate whether it's working
Yeah.
for them. Over here, no. Okay, if you are building it, okay, give me a plan or strategy, in fact, how in fact you can export it internationally. So first, I mean, if I am not myself convinced with my boss why it needs to be taken out, right, I will not do my 100% over there. So that the situation over there was the company, in fact, which we were trying to build. The idea was the fintech, normally it is said it's about two main components: speed and direction, both, right? If you lose one, you lose the game. So the mindset behind that was, okay, if I am building now and I know it's going to be successful, why I want to waste my time for another 6 or 9 months where I know, okay, it's going to be clicked and we know, so we have done our homework, right? So start working on this from day one. It doesn't sound logical, but it has to be this way. So in this situation, the belief system was, okay, I understand why in fact it's been asked, right? And in fact, I understand the intention of, it's not about somebody's crushing me. It's not about somebody's just keeping me under constant pressure. No, there is a logical explanation why, in fact, it's being asked. So I really need to contribute. And once I am convinced, I mean, it's the job of the leadership. Then I need to take my team into the loop within the same principles. And you see, I have seen it. If you give me a task, right, and I don't know what is it for and what's the rationale behind it, I may be, doing it, but I will not do it wholeheartedly. I will just doing it for the sake of doing
Yeah.
it, right? Or versus, in fact, I know, okay, I'm part of something really big, and my actions are going to define directly or indirectly if this thing is going to be successful or not. So, in fact, you are giving me a purpose being my leader, okay? You are part of really something. And then I go full in.
Thank you for unpacking that for me a little more. So if I've worked really hard on finding my why for that same reason, a good book, people, if you're struggling with your why, Simon Sinek's got a great book about it. Just search Simon Sinek why, you'll get it on
Yeah.
Amazon. I would say before you have to even read the book, just go to your boss. And if you don't get why what you're doing is important, ask them, ask your boss. And if they don't know,
True.
challenge them in not a demeaning way, but hey, let's figure this out. I want to find purpose. When I come to work, I spend so much of my life here. Let's
Yeah.
figure this out together so we can get excited to come in. And alternatively, if you're in a role where there is no why, if you're just plugging and chugging and you can't find fulfillment in that, you can find fulfillment in that as the rhythm of life. That's the way I think of doing the dishes and cleaning my house every night. It's the beautiful rhythm of life. These things need to happen over and over again just to maintain a natural, peaceful life. So if your job doesn't have an ultimate beautiful why, if you're not feeding children and giving water to the thirsty, well, there's still a why there. But even if you can't discover it, it could just be the rhythm of your life. It could be the thing that supports your vocation outside of work. You can find a reason that supports you getting excited at work every day.
And
A third option is land and expand. In my world of sales, we're just trying to land and expand. Give me one something somewhere. Give me my pinky toe in that door, and then we'll explode it and we'll bring the whole team through eventually. But if you're in a job and it's not for you, and a lot of people find themselves in that, perfect. Search for something that you can get excited about the why. And do your work as best you can, show up today, but look for something and then transition into that role when it appears. I've had to do this in my life. It took me a year to find the role that I moved into, and I was patient, but I didn't want to jump around a million times. I wanted to find something that really suited me. So, Nadir, I just threw 3 options out there. Any additional insight you can give to the
No, this, I mean,
listeners?
you summarized it very well. I'll just say one thing just to superimpose that. One of my, careers, there was a time, it's year 2012, 13 years back, right? So where in fact, yeah,
Great vintage.
I worked through the whole year, you know, daily basis, almost 12 hours without getting burnt out, without getting fatigue, right? Because it was so exciting that we were part of it and we really enjoyed. Okay, I mean, it is something I really want to do, and instead of spending 8 or 9 hours, I'm happy to spend 12 on that, you know and it was really something.
Yeah. What a gift to have that
Yep.
experience. And that probably launched you into the next thing, which launched you into the next thing. And we don't know how the future dominoes are going to play out. I had no idea how my current role I'm in would unfold over the course of 8 years. All I knew is I needed a strong why. I read the book, and like the book is kind of up here, but I knew I wanted to find that
Yeah.
for my heart. And I did. And the more I learned and the more I worked, the more that why unfolded. And the harder I work. And it's really a unique thing. I love that you share that story, working 12 hours a day and you don't get
Yeah.
burned. I have this saying, I think my brother told me, I don't know where I got it, but like, if you love what you do, are you working or are you having fun? That was always when I was in the wine industry, I was always like, man, am I working or am I having fun? And a lot of days I'm in schools with kids that are learning through our products. And I'm thinking, wait, am I working right now? Or am I just being fulfilled in the work to see the fruition of everything we do? So that is, that's a great
Yeah,
place to
and
get lost in when you can work
I'm
12
so
hours.
fascinated by the sports person or sportsman, right? I mean, and I
Yeah.
learned a lot from them. And look at them, So with the lot of discipline they have to go through, right? They cannot miss a day. Very strict on the diet, very strict on the exercise. With everything they do, I think they spend maybe 14, 15 hours in a day to practice what they love, and they don't get bored with it.
That's a great example. I've got so many notes here. I'm trying to figure out where to pivot next. Nadir, you are just the best. This is awesome. Um, Nadir, you just said a minute ago, speed and direction. You need both of them, and without one, you lose the other. Can you unpack that for me a little bit?
Yeah, see, I was saying like specifically with fintech, because the things are evolving at a lot of pace, right? Pace, I mean. And if, for example, you are creating something and you got a fantastic idea, say like this
Yeah.
market needs an underwriter in such a way like that the finance transaction just goes through very seamlessly. And you are trying to implement that, but you are really trying to perfect that part, unless it's 100% market ready, I'm not going to roll it out. Practically, you already lost the game, right, with this mindset. Second is, you did it, you are trying to roll it out, and in fact, you are trying to roll it out for the wrong market. In this case, maybe your speed is okay, but directionally, it's not good to do something in market A or market B, right? So you are lost practically. So, and I'm saying this because whenever, from a merger and acquisition point of view, or international expansion point of view, whenever we do, go international, there are three main indicators, in fact, which we try to triangulate. One is your profitability, your desirability, and your, accessibility. So like if you are in that market, maybe you have an access, but you are not welcome over there. The product doesn't work over there, right? Maybe acceptance is there. The product is market fit, but from
Yeah.
profitability point of view, there is no margin. So there is no point of going there, right? So similarly, if from a speed and direction point of view, if we lose one of them, so we lose the game normally.
Whoa. You saw the light bulb go off in my mind. I'm a little slow, which is why I have to ask all these follow-up questions. But I'm thinking back, I've called out Stephen Covey's example in the 7 Habits of the ladder being against the right wall. And it's not just how fast you climb up the ladder at work, but he talks about making sure the ladder is against the right wall. And that's what you would call direction. Like you need to make sure you're pointing in the right direction and you're moving
Yeah,
with pace. And you want both of those things ideally. First, make sure directionally you're right, because speed without
yeah,
direction means nothing.
it's
And
an
I guess
accident.
conversely, direction without speed also is everyone's got the $1 million idea, but they never take the first step to do anything about it. So
Yeah.
direction without speed is meaningless and vice versa. I love that. Oh, baby. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. When was the moment you realized this, Nadir, that business success wasn't enough without purpose? Was there a moment in time that you can remember where you had this epiphany?
In fact, the first realization was when for the first time I was put in an executive position. It was back in 2017, right? And for the first time, I had to face the board, face the investors, right? Face my team. In fact,
Yeah.
with all these investment issues, you need to keep your team intact and keep them going. So that was the time, in fact, because then you start thinking very differently. Whatever, I was a product and technology guy, right, earlier. So, but now the expectation is very different when you are in that kind of a role. That was the realization. And back in the days, in the way there was the startups, fintechs were like mushrooms. So they were, popping up. And then, in fact, I was trying to contribute in one of them. I was so close, to get the funding of $3 million at that point in time. But there was logistically different challenges and it couldn't go through. But then I realized at that time, okay, so if, for example, I managed all this and I am trying to do that in a different market, which pertains to direction, I'm not going to be successful. So that was the time which struck me. And then after that, it became part of your apprentice.
Did you do the deal? Did you get the 3 million
At
or
that
did it
time,
fall
no,
through?
I didn't get.
Fell through. That's a great, I love, for the sake of the podcast, that it fell through, because you can't win every time. You can't win every time. But in order to keep moving, you need to be moving. Speed and direction. And if you're not moving, you can't change direction. You can't learn. And what were some of the biggest takeaways? Was your biggest takeaway that business success wasn't enough without purpose? Was that the biggest takeaway from losing that deal? Was there anything else you took away from that experience? Your first time in the executive position, first time going from product person to presenting to the board, investment is on the line, company success is on the line. Any other big takeaways to share?
I think at that time, other than, this was for my personal experience. It was not for that company, because I want to do, crack my own startup at that time. So this was for a different thing. But the main takeaway from that discussion was, so I was trying to do something which, in fact, I said earlier in my response. So the funding was there. The investor told me, quote unquote, I asked for $2 million over 2 years in 4 tranches. I remember very vividly, right? Because it was my first time.
Yeah. Oh,
He
yeah.
said,
You don't forget that.
He said, what you're asking is little. For this idea, what you're asking is little, and I'm happy to give more.
Whoa.
But the market you want to operate in, I'm not happy with that.
Interesting. Yeah. So he saw beyond what you were seeing. Your sight line was smaller than it should have been, and he helped open the horizon to your perspective. Is that fair?
Absolutely fair.
I've got an article where I talk about you are the average of the 5 people you surround yourself with. And Nadir, that was such an uncomfortable position to be in. It hypothetically was a quote unquote failure, but you learned so much through it that has shaped the man you have become and the man you are becoming. And I just want to encourage people, put yourself in uncomfortable positions. Put yourself in because even when you fail, you win. Like, what even is a failure? It's just a point in time along a journey, a linear journey, and you just keep moving through it, but you're better when you take the risk. Personal, professional, both. I love that story, Nadir. Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Okay, here it comes. I'm curious in this one. You're a husband and father of 2 boys. How do you manage the complexity of life?
See, I have, you can say, like, a little bit different thought process, which I work with, with the loved ones and the family, right?
Yeah.
For me, I don't see it as a, complexity is there. I'm not denying that, right? But my mind doesn't perceive that as a complexity. Because back in the days, I had a theory, with my teammates. And I used to say, it's about the life cycle, right? But I used to read a lot of books in my childhood.
Ooh,
I went through a lot of literature, our local ones. So I was a good reader. So the theory was okay, like from an ups and downs point of view, from your career growth and your good and bad days. How in fact, I mean, if I trace myself over a big line and I say, okay, what is the overall spectrum for Nadir? And I used to say, okay, I mean, if this is for me, apart from the exceptional ones or the outliers, for majority of us, the life cycle is quite similar, right? If it's quite similar,
yeah.
and I am not on purpose trying to be part of the outliers, right? So I mean, for everybody, it's same. Let's deal with it. So there is no fun of just whining about it. So I have to give my best. I do understand. And if it's not in my control after giving my best, I am really satisfied with it. But inside me, I know whether I put my best or not. So I need to be sincere with me. And after that, I'm just okay, even if it's a failure, as the one I told you with my startup thingy. If it's a failure, I was perfectly fine with it, but I did my best within my capacity. What was there, I tried to put it. And after that, I became okay. I said, fine.
My wife and I say this all the time. Millennia of people have had kids and they've had it a lot harder than us and done a lot better
Yeah.
than us. So I love your perspective. It's almost like a paradigm shift where I came at it from like, it's really complex. It's really hard. Pity me. And you're like, it's part of life. It's the line of life. Everyone goes through it. We do our best. Child rearing is really hard. There's a lot of failures and also a lot of peak joys. Anything worth having in life is really hard. And it's no exception with marriage and
So
with child rearing. It's really, really tough. And I love your perspective on it. We do the best we can. You make the best meal in the world
within
and your
our
kid throws
capacity.
it all
Yeah.
over the ground. And within our capacity, and each of us has a different capacity. And I'm so happy you said that because social media, how do you think social media is impacting parenting today? Is it a good thing or a bad thing,
It's,
Nadir?
it's a tough one, Andy, because everyone has their own bias. But I see, from information point of view, it's more productive. But it's up to us how, in fact, we are going to consume the right information from there. And I think over there, most of us, at least what I have observed, are failing over there, right? Because we are going after things we shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Like my son asked me, Baba, are we rich or poor? You know, once he asked me this, I said, we
Yeah.
are poor among rich and we are rich among poor. So, because I need to know what is my enough. I really love this
Yeah.
Psychology of Money book. And for me, the biggest takeaway was this one, that you need to know your enough. So whether it's your career, whether it's your, money, whether it's in fact the things which you are enjoying, so you need to know, okay, where I will stop, and I am happy with it. Otherwise, it's a never-ending loop. I mean, he gave a best example. Like once you touch a million, there is a millionaire. When you are a couple of millionaires, there is a billionaire. Then there is a trillionaire. It's a never-ending story, right? So in fact, and on top of that, because you said complexity of life, I would love to say that in that complexity of life, I see the time, for example, I spend with people is is my
Yeah.
time, right? Nobody's pushing me to do that. I'm with Andy. I'm happily with Andy, and I'm enjoying this conversation. Nobody put a gun on my head to go with Andy. So after Andy, for me, this is my time, right? After that, I don't need any me time. So the time I spend with my wife, my friends, my kids, I don't need anything other beyond that, and I'm perfectly fine. I'm happy with it, and maybe this helps me just to navigate with that complexity.
When you told me this last time, I was like, wait. You don't need any me time because I am the opposite. I'm like an introverted extrovert. I love to be with people, but then I need to come back and I get my energy from being alone in the silence and restoring. And I was like, Nadir, you need that, right? And he's like, no, I don't
Yeah.
need me time. And I'm like, yeah, but what about? And he's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, but what about? And he's like, no. That is unique to you. And there's probably listeners that relate to you where you feel like you don't need me. Do you know anyone like you, Nadir, in this regard, where they don't need personal time to just take a deep breath and
I
chill?
always end up in a discussion on this topic.
You're a fascinating one. People listening to this, if you don't relate, neither do I. But it's amazing. One thing I took away from living in Germany is that people do things differently, and that's okay. Too many of us, and this is one of the downsides of social media, a lot of positive sides, but it draws an artificial line in the sand, and you're either on this
Yeah,
side or that side. And it's like, you and me are so different in so many ways, and that's beautiful. That makes our relationship better, I think, than if we were just sounding boards for one another. I do this, I do the same thing. I think this way, I think the same thing. It is so beautiful. And so I just embrace that and I accept that peculiarity of yours,
100%.
Nadir.
Yeah, this is how we complement each other.
It's what makes the
Beautiful.
world
Yeah,
beautiful. And I think, I don't know if it's my role to call people out, but it seems like people relate with people that are too relatable to them too much of the time. It makes sense. Like historically, in America, there was the Polish village and the Italian village and the German village. You want to be around people that are
yeah,
similar to you. I think that's totally natural. But I think there was a mutual respect among them. They just did things differently, but they could still interact and talk and hang out. And if you feel like, for whatever reason, you don't want to interact with someone that has a different thought, belief system, whatever than you, I just simply challenge that and say, just be open. Open your mind and ask questions. Don't tell them anything. Just ask questions and see what they think. And then put it in the pot, mix it around, and see how
true.
it jives with your thoughts. And often enough, the foundations of what we're trying to achieve are the same. Fulfillment, we go about it different ways. Love, go about it different ways. Connection, we may go about it different ways. So anyway, just a light challenge there. Back to your point, Nadir, about among the poor we are rich, among the rich we are poor. Tim Sanders wrote my favorite book. I've talked about the Love is the Killer app. He wrote this other book, Today We Are Rich, because he grew up in a tough household. He was a chief information officer of Yahoo. So he ended up here, but he grew up tough situation. And either his mom or his grandma always said, today we are rich. And she point out small things. So like this morning, it's I'm making bacon for my boys, and I'm like, boys, no one's richer than
Yeah,
us this morning. No one's richer than us. And I believe, like, yeah, maybe materially, a lot of people are richer than us. But in heart, soul, and mind and body, nobody's richer than
absolutely
us. And it's like, I love to instill that mindset because money is a thing that matters only so much
yeah,
as it matters. But richness and wealth is found internally, not
true,
externally.
very true. You nailed it.
Bam! I love to nail it. Here we go. You're setting me up. You're just throwing me softballs. I'm just cracking them. Speaking about internal, you do something that's so beautiful, Nadir, and I'm hoping you can unpack it for us. You're involved with helping orphans, the unemployed, and the underserved. How'd you get started doing that, and why?
Yeah. Uh, I started, because I think it's not, it's a duty. Let me put this way: the way I think for myself, and I always give this example when I'm sitting with my friends, with my siblings. I think I have been fortunate enough, alhamdulillah, right? And there was one of my best friend in the school, and we studied for 10 years together till the time we reached to this college stage, higher secondary. And in higher secondary, I'm not coming from a very rich family, right? From a mediocre family, and so was the guy. And at that time, I went for a college which was a bit prestigious, and he couldn't join the college
Yeah,
because of fee. So he went for a government college. So, and I asked
yeah.
my grandfather at that time, and I proudly say I'm a product of my grandfather, right? So because a lot of thought process or the wisdom I got from him. So I asked him, can't we pay his fee? And he said, we can, but it really doesn't look good, maybe because they might be offended. His family or parents might be offended. So our
Interesting.
our our paths got separated, right?
Yeah.
But we were in touch. Then, in fact, at a university level, I got in the I'm from Pakistan, so Pakistan's top university. At that time, almost 50,000 people used to apply, and out of 50,000, only 2,000 were selected. I think
Oh,
now this number is around 500,000, maybe. Out of 500,000, 2,000 or 3,000 are selected. So I was luckily again one of those guys who got selected. And my friend, he couldn't got selected, right? So he again has to opt for a government university. Now the thing is, I used to think like, so my friend, so we were very competitive and very good
yeah.
friends. So, and I always think, okay, maybe overall he's better than me. Maybe, right? Maybe there are many other students who are much better than me. And because I have seen this issue or seen this, a specific case for the fee, where the candidate is really competitive or up to the mark, but he cannot opt in because of the money issues. So I
Yeah.
said, okay, maybe, I'm in a university and a lot of many better students compared to me couldn't get into because of the fee. So when I graduated, I thought, okay, then I need to pay back to the society because I think I am here for a purpose, and so is the life, right? And I have to, as per that purpose, deliver something. So I sincerely believe it's my duty now. Paying back is okay; it's a word to cover it, but I sincerely feel it's my duty to compensate for something, which in fact, in my power or my capacity, I can do. So initially, I tried to create momentum, back in the days, but I was junior, the thought process was not mature, so it couldn't go through. But for last 7, 8 years, I'm part of something where, in fact, kind of a founding member, where, in fact, we work for the orphans, for the widows, for the people who are homeless, for the people specifically who are bright and cannot pay fee in the university, right?
Yeah.
And I'm trying to do what I can, and at the same time, because now I know how to scale, trying to scale that as well. So
Amazing bringing your business expertise to your charitable work and scaling that and lifting it up as much as possible.
yeah.
Does that charitable work you do with the widows and the orphans and the hungry and the students that can't pay tuition at the colleges you guys cover, does that fuel your excitement and your purpose in everyday life? Or is that totally separate from what you do every day?
No, this is I have to, because you see, this is part of it. This is part of it because in the bigger purpose of life, I think I almost have clarity. Few missing bits needs to be part of the equation, and I think it was on my WhatsApp as well for
Mm-hmm.
5 7 years, and I had this my tagline. It's all about man next to you. And that man can be, my colleague, my brother, my street mate, my community mate, my
Yes.
country mate. The person is in need who is next to me. I think that's my purpose, if in my capacity, without, any expecting, if I'm helping you out. So normally I don't expect, okay, you will give me something back. I think it's my duty to do that if it's in my power. And I do that.
So many people need to hear this. I need to hear this. It's so good, Nadir. And within our circle of influence, within our capacity, as you would say, we have a duty to serve. It is in giving that we receive, is one way to say it. You think it's going to empty you, and somehow it fills you. And some people they think they have to do something crazy. Like, I have to go to India and serve the poor in Calcutta, like Mother Teresa. And it's like, no, no, no. You're surrounded by people at work. That's why I love your saying it's all about the man next to you. It's about the person you're with right now at work
Yeah.
in the cubicle next to you, the person in
Yeah.
the grocery store next to you, your
Yep.
children, your spouse, your significant other. There are, don't don't say you're going to do all these great things and then neglect the things right in front of you. Like, it's fake. You have a lot of opportunity right in front of you. Do that, and that may lead to greater things down the road. But it's like trying to run a marathon before you can run a mile. Don't try and do the
Yeah.
great things before you can love the people around you satisfactorily. And that takes discipline. It takes love. It takes selflessness. It takes humility to put others before yourself without expecting anything in return. I love that message, Nadir. I love that. I think about it when we were in the midst of early marriage and we were trying to start a family and kids just don't pop out for everyone and they weren't for us. And so we were helping out with the youth group at our church. And it was a big time commitment, weekly time commitments, and we'd go on these retreats. And I I always dreaded the retreats up front because it's 50 kids on a bus. And my wife and I are the ones responsible with a couple parent helpers. And we're spending the night in these cabins with them. And I always thought like, oh, I'm giving so much. I'm sacrificing so much. I'm taking time off of work to do. And then when I come home, I'm like, I actually think I got more out of that experience than the kids did. And
100%.
it's kind of the same thing with the podcast. It's like a lot of people, it's a lot of prep work to prepare for these things. To get you on the line is not simple. Like no one's organizing this. If I don't make it happen, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But then when I listen back, when I'm editing, I'm like, oh my gosh. And then when I publish it and I re-listen, I get even more. And I'm like, if no one else were listening to this, it would be worthwhile for me. All the effort, all the purpose. And I just hope other people are getting something out of this. But I truly think it's in giving that we receive. You know, right now, this is a total act of love for me. I'm very curious in the topic, but I'm so hurt, wounded by seeing people with emptiness in their eyes, people longing for more, people wanting more. They're in the pinnacle of their life and they're missing it because they're so distracted. And it's like, I just want to bring that to people. And I hope this show, The Fulfillment Project, is doing just a little something like you're doing in a very tangible way with the needy over there. Okay. Wow. Wipe that tear from my eye. Closing, Nadir, rapid fire, and then you're going to get the last word to say whatever you need to say that I missed, that I didn't ask, a follow-up you wish I would have asked that I missed because I was just so engrossed in what you were saying. Here we go. One book that changed your life. Top book that comes to mind that changed your life.
There are many, right? Because I said I used to read a lot, right? But the one that comes to my mind is Grit by Angela Duckworth.
Whoa, I haven't read that one. Great by Angela Duckworth?
It's a must, man.
I'm ordering it right when we get off here. What was the biggest takeaway? Why is that number one for you?
So you see, the book tells you, because one point in life, you always think, okay, by doing this, only passion and the way intention of doing something, you will get it done. But the book tells you, it's passion plus perseverance, right? On top of that, it tells you it's not about never giving up, but it's about staying loyal to something which you really believe in. So there is so that's the bottom line. Yeah.
Whoa. Passion and perseverance. And isn't that the spice of life? People get really passionate and then they give up before they've had a chance to really bloom into what it needs to be. Because it's hard. Most things you're passionate about are really hard. And therefore the perseverance. All right. I can't wait to read that book. Next. One belief, Nadir, you've changed your mind about.
Yeah. Again, okay. Yeah. So again, it's something related to the book. But earlier, I only used to think only with the hard work, you can go miles. Only with the hard work, the success is guaranteed. But when I was naive, no, I don't think any. Still, success is the hard work is the main ingredient, right? But other than hard work, in fact, you need to put the system in place. Because you see, let's go back to the first one when you say, okay, the career starts with the belief system, not with the resumes, right? So belief system, that system, in fact, needs to be in place other than the hard work. For instance, if you allow, because when we embark on something, we need to set our North Star. Once it's identified, which is the purpose, then in fact, we try to put system in place. And that's not only enough, because from a hyper growth point of view, if we see the main ingredient is the team, collaboration, and the culture. So which means even while scaling business, we take leverage on the people. Similarly, even once your North Star is there, you identify your systems, you need to take leverage with the people among you.
You need to take what with the people around you?
Leverage.
Yeah. Yes. North Star reminded me of season 1. Andrew Wyndham talked a lot about North Star, and that's something I've been reflecting on for weeks now. It's just another way to say purpose. Like, what do I have my mind on? And it's been helpful for me as I'm trying to identify my purpose and make sure I have my sights clearly on where I'm going. I like the visual of thinking of it as the North Star. All right, this gets me. I think about this all the time, mostly late at night, mostly after one bourbon, mostly with beautiful dramatic music playing over my sound system at home. What is one thing you want your kids to remember about you?
Integrity, the way I remember my grandfather. I still have to see, better character than him. Even I have traveled 40 countries, did a lot of business, scaled in 11 markets. But from character or integrity point of view, I still have to see a better person than him. I want myself to be remembered in the same capacity.
That is enduring. I love that. The business stuff is important because it's how you show your integrity. Your relations are important, your travel important, because that's how your integrity shines through. But to have that as a North Star, it's the litmus test. For me, I'd say my litmus test is peace. Every decision, I want to make sure I come out of that with peace in my heart. I want to sleep soundly at night. And I love that integrity for you is how you want to be remembered. All right, here's the final one, baby. I can't wait. What's one message you want to leave with someone who's listening right now that feels stuck or unfulfilled?
Just don't give up. Be yourself, right? And you don't need any permission to do things. If you sincerely believe in something, move heaven and earth to get it done.
I love that. I love that. Be yourself. It's so easy to be yourself. It's so easy to be yourself. Don't be someone you think someone else wants you to be, unless they're calling you on to be the best version of yourself. But be yourself and strive to surround yourself with people that will call you on to be the best version of yourself. But be yourself. And you know it. You can feel it when you're not. So much of my life, there was tension because I was living a life someone else wanted me to live, not the life I wanted to live. And it creates tension and you can feel it, you know it. Nadir, before I give you the last word, I just want to say, you make so many amazing charts. You are both an intellectual, but you're also a teacher, because when I look at your LinkedIn feed, I learn so much. You have beautiful copy explaining your ideas, and then you have beautiful charts that you create that explain it in a picture. And for someone of my IQ, a picture is often a lot better than a lot of text. And your pictures simplify complex matters so well. So I encourage the group to go check out Nadir's LinkedIn, follow him, check out his stuff. Anywhere else the audience can find you, or anywhere else you want to drive them, Nadir?
Thank you so much, Andy, for the kind words. Means a lot. I had a lovely discussion with you. And maybe we need to do in a quarter or so another episode on something else.
Yes, I would love it. We're only just open the box and we're looking in, but there's more to take out. Beautiful. All right, you get the last word. Anything else I missed? Any follow-ups you want to extrapolate on?
It's all about man next to you.
I love that. It's simple. It's hard, but it's simple. If you're struggling, just look at the person next to you and think about, how can I serve them? What can I do for them? If you help enough people get what they want, you can get what you want. If you put yourself first, if you're chasing external things, you're always going to be left unsatisfied and unfulfilled. Wow. Nadir, I got to leave it on this. You are a joyful man. I love your joyful spirit. I love your smile. Thank you so much for coming on Fulfillment Project. Can't wait to have you back on. See you later, everyone. Tune in next time.
Thank you.